going on, guys? All right, so we're gonna do the rear quarter panel right now. I just did the door. I've cut everything out of one sheet. We don't have a side skirt to do, as I explained in the first video. Obviously, we've cut away this section, so I want to make sure that I blow away all the contaminants using some compressed air. So we're gonna do that before we position the panel. What I'm also going to do is open the door, because that'll allow me to tuck in a little bit further. Oh, where is it? There we go. All right. So, again, it's a little loud, I know. Let's get the hose out of the way. And let's do this. So I'll explain one thing that's going on right here, right now, that looks a little bit weird, is that this piece is short, all right? Not short in length, but short in height. So it doesn't actually cover this right now. What we're gonna do is we only have to contour the film down maybe like 3-4% stretch, and then we can wrap it right around this really nicely. So that's how we're gonna do it. Because the door and the pillar meet, they come really close. So let's position this forward. We're gonna come over inside the door a little bit, all right? Keeping everything in balance, right there, right there. Let's check out the back. Should be good. Come back a little bit more. There we go, all right. I'll grab another one of these guys. Again, finding the line, right guys? I'm gonna find this line right here and drop a magnet. I'm gonna release this, and that's gonna flow a little bit better. There we go. Cool, there's our line. There's what we're working with. Let's move this forward. So now, as I shifted it forward, look how much further down it came. So now we have quite a bit of extra film now. So let's get this out of the way. Remove the backing paper. This shouldn't take very long. Actually, sorry, 1 second. I do need to cut out the wheel well area. And don't worry about the dust from this, because it'll be low. It won't be high. All right. Might as well just save that for something, door handles, mirrors, that kind of stuff. All right, let's do this now. So I gotta fix that up there because I'm getting a wrinkle. Let's keep that in the position that we intend it to be in. I'm just gonna stick that there. I'm not even gonna use a magnet. I'll use the magnet up here just to hold that up there. Can even squeegee it to the trunk a little bit. Let's get rid of that. Cool, it drops down really nicely. Making sure that we're still fully covered, we are. And we'll continue with the rest of the backing paper. Try not to give yourself a paper cut, that can happen. So we need to find, perfect. All right, see the line right there? All I did was remove the backing paper. Cut out that large section, and I'll work this in 2 separate sections, all right? So I'll work this front section in a moment. What I want to do is just glass it out a little bit. Cool. Make sure we're all good up top. We are. And let's get to squeegeeing. So normally what we want to do is, I'm just going to lock that in a little bit. Just make sure this is a little bit more glassed out here. And so by doing that, or how to do that, I'm going to pull it a little bit more my way, towards the front of the car. See? Done. Beautiful line right now. Let's take it and work this line. There it is. Take this line, work it to about there. We're going to stop there. I'm gonna come up and keep everything flowing. Okay? So we're going to run into a bit of a recess here where the quarter panel is. So what I'm going to do is lay that in. That's why I didn't go too far yet. Kind of just keeping all of this symmetrical right here. What I want to do now is relax it a bit, all right? Let it fall in there, right? We got to keep it glass though, so let's keep it glass. So let's bring it back a little bit here. Now I'm going to finish this off right here. You can see up and down as I pull, add tension, there's wrinkles change, all right? It makes things different when you go to squeegee it. I don't think I've done a how-to like this in a long time. So we're just going to get above this other hard body line, right on top of it, all right? Now we're on top of it. Cool. What I'm going to do here is trim out some excess film. Keep my eye behind it, making sure that I'm not cutting too low. This is just going to help come around a little bit. Cool. Now we got a lot less film to work with, and look how much nicer that looks right now. It's simple, guys. This is not rocket science, and I'm not any kind of wizard. I'm just going to teach you guys how to do it, and this is the easiest way that I've learned how to do it. So again, laying into the recess, all right? Not stretching into this recess. Again, we just talked about bubbles the other day and why they might happen. Bridging a gap is one of those reasons. So all I'm doing is adding a little tension to the film in this direction to eliminate the wrinkles. So we'll start working this section back now. I can pull back, it's fine. I'm not overstretching the film or anything like that. And then I'm going to come back around here and finish up this. Keeping an eye on what the film is doing, all right, as we squeegee it. It's another very important thing to remember. So check out our lines, our wrinkles. They're running across. So all we got to do is pull up, right? Look at that. So now we have absolute zero overstretching in this area. Actually, no stretching at all. Someone's calling me. Could be Grimco. Let's go get it. We're back. Just had a phone call there. So let's finish up the top here. So as I was explaining, is that we didn't have any stretch in this area at all here. Zero. All right? Super important to wrap that way. So we're just going to contour this film around the back section of the trunk of the quarter panel. I'm just going to keep the film glassed out. All right. So we're at the edge. I'll do all that in a second. Let's finish up down here. So I'm actually going to put this bumper flush because it's sticking out and I don't like it. But I can trim and then leave a little excess and then pull it out again and then put it all back. So let's push it back. It's just going to be easier for me to contour this film. If I can do that. Oh, I see it. There we go. Okay. So now the reason why I want it flush is so that I can easily come to the edge. We can overlap the edge a little bit. We've masked the opposite side, right? As we should always do. Cool, cool. So for down here, all I'm gonna do is pull down a little bit in this direction and a little bit in this direction, keeping things glass, all right? Stick it to this is the bumper down here now. I can break this down in two sections. I can work some this way. As you can see, I want to work it this way because now all I gotta do is pull that and my wrinkles are gone. All right? I'm looking at the way the fingers are running, and I'm looking at where my escape is, basically, every time I'm squeegeeing. Same deal for here, guys. Now I have a wrinkle running this way. You might think, okay, what do? I can't pull any more this way. Well, no, I have the wheel well here, so boom, right? Now we got glass again. Before I get a little bit too far ahead here, let's finish up the very top piece. And what I want to do is I'm going to stretch a little bit around the top piece because I want it to contour around the corner so I can get a really nice sharp corner, nice round corner that looks like it's painted. Man, remember, it's going to get tight here, so we have to release the air, okay? If we don't release the air, it's just going to get jammed up. Cool. That section's done. I'll trim it all up afterwards and I'll show you guys all that. What I want to do here is now keep my line and make sure that this isn't getting too crazy over here, because I can see it's getting a couple of fine wrinkles, but it's not too bad. And we're gonna go for it. All right, I'm holding the film up, as you can see. And there's no tension on it. So we do have this little flare here. Don't bridge this gap, guys. If you bridge this gap, it's probably gonna fail. So, again, what we wanna do is we wanna lay in. So what I'm gonna start to do is start to work the film in this pattern, in this direction, giving it this round, see? Round off this section right here, that line. Let's come down a little further. So how do we tackle this right now? Well, we're gonna cut out, I'm gonna find the bottom of the wheel well, which is right there. Cool. Let's cut out some of this excess. Let's cut off some off the bottom too. It's kind of irritating me. Cool. And what we need to do here, you can use your squeegee, you can use your finger, you can use your glove, whatever you want to do, but we want to lay in, okay? Look, laying in. Always laying in. If you guys don't do this, please start doing this, because this will ensure you could wrap with pretty much any film. I don't even care if the adhesive is the most horrible, low-tack adhesive in the world. What we're doing is we're shaping the film to this indentation. So even if you have contaminants in here, grease or whatever, it will still stick because you're actually just shaped the film to it. Unless something gets underneath it like air and it starts to expand when heat hits it, that's a different story. But you know, if the adhesive that you're using on your vinyl has very low tack, that is exactly how you avoid a situation from it popping out. So look, I'm finding a line. Look, see, I'm making a line. I'm making a really nice smooth line. As I come down, it's getting better and better and better. If you find that when you're squeegeeing, you're getting more and more wrinkles, then you're doing it wrong. You need to tackle it in a different way. You need to find a different way and a different direction to squeegee. Whether you start more over there, or more over here, or more in the middle, totally up to you, but that's a feeling and that's something that you have to get the hang of. All right, so I know this ends right about here. So what I can do is just kind of finish off the bottom here. Oh yeah, because I have to cut out a little bit more. What did I do with my blade? There it is. Okay, let's cut off some of this excess. Again, same deal, guys. I'm going to take that out and just let it go in, all right? No stretch. My fingers are not on the edge. As you can see, the edge is right there. My fingers are here. About an inch away, half an inch away. Even if they were, it's probably not going to fail anyways. So even if my fingers were on the edge, because you're not adding any tension to the film, it's probably not going to fail anyways. Making sure that we're nice and tucked in there. So let's do this. Let's bring the film up. Hard edge of the squeegee now, guys, in this recess, all right? Let's do the same thing over here. We're creating slack first, and then we're pushing that slack in to the recess. Super important. Because you don't want to bridge this and then stretch the film into the recess. It'll fail. Okay, so as I get into near the end here, I'm going to stop, and I'm going to leave a bit excess when I cut out. So I'm going to cut out right now and show you what I mean by that. So for here, to make sure I'm fully covered with the tape, I'm going to cut about that, okay? Then I'm going to bring the film in, or sorry, the blade in to this area, okay? If you find you want more thorough coverage, remove the bumper. Or if you're not too confident in doing this just like this, remove the bumper. And this gives me a nice, clean line to cut on, right in the gap. Okay, so when I get to this corner over here now, I'm going to angle the blade down, okay? The reason why I angle the blade down is because when I go to push this film up, it might not cover if I come up too high. I might not cover that very tip of that corner there. So you always kind of want to come up or down with the blade away from the corner afterwards. So let's iron this out right now. And we're going to do the bottom section here. Let's do this quick. It'll take 2 seconds. And I'll explain to you why I do that first. So the reason why I do this section here first and this section here first is because now we have a lot less tension from here. If I had all this extra film down here, that means I'm creating more tension. Same thing with the bumper. If I have more film on the bumper here before I cut and start laying in, then that means I'm trying to lay into here also at the same time. I don't want to do that. Hopefully that makes sense. A little air on the edge there. Got it out. Now we don't have to go nuts as far as wrapping around this edge goes. We don't want to overstretch the film, that's the key. And we want to make sure everything's nice and sealed up with no wrinkles, all right? So once I get it around as far as I think I need to go, I take the back of the blade and run it on the back edge of this panel. And I'm usually an eighth to a quarter of an inch wrapped in underneath. It really depends on the panel, because some of these have larger welds on the inside, like the truck we just did. Cool, so this is all pretty much finished here, guys. What I'm gonna do here so I create less tension again is put a relief cut here, but I want to do the top section first, all right? So let's do that. Let's finish this off. I actually need to come back because I have to put a relief cut here. Let's find it. There's the edge, there's the seal. So look at my blade, it's not out very far, right? I'm going to make a circle or a nice round cut because I don't want this to run. So look, I'm going to stretch it across just a bit, just level things out, all right? See, all those wrinkles that I had at the top there, they're almost gone. You can lock it in, now it won't move. And now for here, all we do is pull it up a little bit. And I'm going to finish it off, get all this air out of here. It's hard to tell with gloss where the air is, okay? So keep that in mind. Some colors make it more challenging as well. So black, that kind of stuff can be challenging to see where you've squeegeed already. Just make sure you're being thorough. So perfect, that section is good. We're going to wrap it around a little bit, then we're going to come down here right now and finish off this. So as you can see, I'm going to contour the film down just enough. I'm not overstretching it, I'm not killing it. Just keep it up there. Cool? Just enough. So now we have full coverage of that pillar. And I'll lock it in to the hood and the window just for now. And we're going to finish off the top. Again, pull up. Super easy. Lock it in. Sweet. Let's do this. Let's get all this down right here. And here. Now we're going to go up. You can see I'm always lifting the film. Always. Just to keep the air moving. When you squeegee fast, you have to. Okay, so for down here, let me see if I have my blade on me still, or if it's back there. Should have it. Too many things in my pockets. There it is. Magically appeared in my hand. So keep it away. I'm just going to cut out some of that. It's just too much. Way too much to work with. So let's make sure there's no tension. There's no tension here, guys, all right? All I'm going to do is just fix up the wrinkles a little bit, all right? That's it. Done. Super easy. As you might have noticed also before I laid this panel is that I had a lot of things masked. Masking off your area is super important. So let's talk about this area right here. On a white car or a yellow car, it can be challenging to wrap into this area and get full coverage. So what you want to do typically is pull one way. So I'm going to pull that way. And then I'm going to pull, and it's masked on the bottom side, and then I'm going to pull this way, okay? I don't want that to come off, okay? So if I keep it glassed around like this, check that out. Then we're not going to have so many wrinkles in this section when we go to cut. They're all going to go back to normal. This one I don't have to worry about. I don't have to go crazy deep because it's a black car. But when you have like a yellow car or a red car and you're trying to cover it with a completely different color, it makes a huge difference. So what I like to do here is I'm just going to cut on the tape side, just scoring the film, guys. All right, you don't want to cut through that tape. Cool, cool. Let's get rid of that. Now, as I go to push that in, it's going to level itself out. And I can hold it at the corners slightly if I need to, just to kind of keep it from bunching up once you get to the corners. Beauty. So, we've got all that done. We're going to cut out the windows and stuff. And I'm going to show you the knifeless tape in the door. How long has that been recording now? 15? Oh, it's quick. Oh yeah, we started again, that's why. All right. We're going to cut out all this area here, making sure that we've got plenty of excess to tuck in. Okay. So we have a lot of slack here. There's a bit of tension here. We're going to go over that with a post seat afterwards. Mainly you want to make sure you have coverage, so just make sure when you're trimming all this stuff, it can get a little scary. You can lay knifeless, just knifeless doesn't always stick to these rubber seals, so it can be very tricky. So I'm going to find the line of the seal, alright? Once I find that line, then I know how much vinyl I need. I usually do a couple of cuts. I'll do a larger one first, leaving a bigger piece, and then I'll do a one a lot closer, leaving me just enough to tuck in. So this part always gets a little bit scary, even for me. I don't like to, I don't want to mess it up. I think every installer has the same issue. We just kind of get worried. when it comes to this section. It's a big piece, you don't want to waste it. And I just put a lot of work into it. So I'm just trying to find that line as close as possible to the seal so that I can tuck it in and get it going. So we're going to start rounding off the cut. And I know it's super soft, the seal right here, so I'm going to be able to tuck in a lot easier right there. It's going to be a little bit more challenging around the top section, but the bottom here and up to around this part is very easy. So I'm not too worried about it. Get a little wrinkle there. Oh, I'm going to need the heat gun. Reach. Yeah, slightly. Okay. So if you get a wrinkle in it, don't worry. It'll go away. We don't want to stretch it, though we've heated it, so just be mindful of that. So what I want to do is start lifting it off of that trim a little bit, all right? And getting ever so close to this seal. All right, so now I finally see the very bottom edge there. I'm not going to cut any more of that out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my other little triangle tool and start tucking it all in. So once I start tucking it all in, it's going to give me a good idea on how much I can actually trim out after that. So I'm going to use this little guy right here and just kind of help get this corner going. So I want to get this taken care of right now. The longer we leave the corner sitting like this, the more likely it is to create like glue lines and stuff. So we don't want to leave it sitting like that. Sorry. So I might have to come a little bit lower here. Again, we don't want to mess this up, right? I'm just going to pop that out a little bit. Perfect. Now that I've got that out, I knew it was really soft because I tested it before while I was cleaning it. And you tuck that in there super nice, all right? Check it out. So you get a tiny little glue line, and if that was some other brands I don't want to mention right now, you'd see a crazy glue line. And no, it's not Vivid. Vivid has no glue lines. It's some other reputable brands. All right. So let's continue the process. Leave myself, look how slow and steady, and I'm using my finger as a guide, all right? And I have tension on the film right here. Make sure my line is still good. My blade could be in a little bit more. I'm not going to change it right now. It just kind of gets a little flimsy once you start pushing your blade out too much. So it can make cutting like this a little bit more challenging. And obviously the blade is very sharp. Cool. Let's get all that out of the way. We're going to tuck all that in just a second. Let's finish off the bottom piece, all right, guys? That way I can get the door in and get the knifeless tape done. Again, I'm going to look at it from the bottom or as close as possible. Get intimate with it. You're going to be really close and personal with the car that you're wrapping and you're probably going to know more about it in the end than the owner does. So, camera's going on a tripod, just so everyone knows. You just flip it the other way, so I can see it. Yeah, perfect. So okay, look, I can actually lift this seal. Usually you can lift the seal with your hand. It's not hard at all, okay? What you want to make sure you did is clean underneath here, because dust and debris will start to fall out as you lift it. Otherwise, you're going to want to keep your squeegee super close and be tucking it in right away, all right? That's mint. Next, this is the fun part. This is a little bit tighter up here, but it's not terrible. So, some of these cars can be huge pain. So, you're going to need some fine tools like these little triangles. You can pick them up on Amazon. They're just called tinting triangles. There's nothing really that fancy about them. So it's going to get super tight up top here. I've seen some guys remove this window in the back. Really kind of depends on the extent you want to go to. Anyways, didn't have to. That part's done. I got to finish up around the window, around the door area. So what I want to do here right now is just want to lift this up off the seal. Just by doing that. Yes, you might be like, oh my God, he's getting his fingers on it. But it's not a big deal, guys, because it's getting tucked in. See, it gets really stuck because I didn't mask off enough. And so it's going to be challenging to get it off the seal just by using the triangle. I'm even having a difficult time getting it off with my fingers. So masking closer to the seal is obviously better. Don't want to spend hours and hours and hours masking. You just want to get it done quick, but at the same time, if you don't do it thoroughly enough, you know, end up spending a little extra time like I am right now, fiddling around with this, trying to get this lifted off the seal, all right? Almost there. Cool. All right. That's not even any guarantee that I'm going to get this triangle in here. We're going to see right now. All right, it helps. Helps a lot, actually. So be very careful when you're doing this. These seals are delicate, and you can easily tear them if you put too much pressure on them. Especially on an older car. On an older car, I'd probably just overlap the trim and leave a little bit excess film overlapping the trim. It normally will last. Let's move this so you guys can see. So what I like to do is pry down a little bit, slide the squeegee, pry down a little bit, then push it in, all right? Slide the triangle, pry down a little bit, squish some of that in there. You don't want to get a wrinkle here either because it'll show on the edge if you're not careful enough. This is how you thoroughly do color change, all right? Because you want to tuck things in. It's really makes it nice in the end. So it's getting super tight down there. I'm not sure if my squeegee's not on the right angle, so I'm going to reposition it. Come a little bit closer to the edge. This is the whole, like doing this part of the entire car is probably the most tedious. I'd rather wrap a bumper than a quarter panel, actually. Quarter panels are just, I don't know, I don't like doing them. Maybe one day I'll have a guide to wrap a quarter panel for me. Who wants to apply? Alright guys, so we lost the audio, but I'm going to narrate the rest of this while I have coffee in the morning. So what you want to do right now is be extremely careful. The seal is really tight, as I was saying, around the window trim and pillar. Some cars you can remove this trim, other cars you can't. So I'm going to do my best to actually talk to you guys while you're watching. It's going to be a little bit more watching this time as opposed to me explaining. I might just ramble on about certain things as we go through this. So what I'm explaining here is that when I get to the end here, it gets a little bit tighter and then it gets a little bit looser as you get right to the very edge of this weather strip door seal. So usually these door seals are riveted on. Sometimes you can remove the actual seal on the inside, which runs in a track, and then you can undo the screws and then loosen the entire piece. Some cars you can't. I know the Camaro you can't. This one I didn't even try because I knew the weather stripping was actually not too tight where I was able to tuck properly. So just going over the rest of the panel, making sure it was good, and we're going to remove the tape so you can see how I've tucked everything in along this edge here. And we'll show you guys that. Let's get a little bit over there to tuck in. Missed a small spot. This is why you always go over your work. So another thing I'm not sure if I mentioned was that we got to be very careful when we're prying that strip back. You don't want to cut it with the tool that you're using. I use a plastic tool, but it still, with enough pressure, can cut through. Alright, so I think we're going to get onto the door jamb now to do the knifeless tape. I'll give that a second. My wife isn't recording right now, so I just have the camera on a tripod, so I just had to adjust it. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little pre-stretch colt, and you can see I'm drawing some of the film out, which allows me to tuck in the slack now without actually stretching into the recess. So I'm just going to be thorough when it comes to this. We're applying a very generous amount of pressure against the fender side and not the door jamb side, and then push it right into the corner to make sure that we don't have any air in that edge at all. And then we work the film out. So it's going to give that a minute. You can watch how I do it. Yeah, so just top to bottom or bottom to top or wherever we want. I usually start right in the middle there where that body line is. And then I'll go up from there and down from that body line. If you have two body lines, work from whatever one, choose one and work from whatever one you want to. So this will only take a couple minutes. Add a little bit of heat just to soften the film so that we're not pulling it out of the recessed area. So by adding a little bit of heat just gives me a little bit more pliability, workability with the film so that I can pull on the film without actually pulling it out of the gap because we want it to stay in there. It's okay to stretch the film a little bit. We're, like I said, probably doing like 2 or 3% usually, nothing much. Nothing that's going to ruin the wrap and cause it to pull back. So we're about ready for the knifeless tape. I believe I start the knifeless tape at the top. Just finishing off the bottom corner. And once I feel like I have everything smooth and wrinkle free, make sure there's no wrinkles or fingering over top of the knifeless tape before you pull it. Then you'll be good to go. Adding a little bit of heat for safe measure is always good to do because we want to make sure that we're not getting any pullback before we use the knifeless tape. And it'll help lock everything in. As far as doing your wraps go, you should be doing all of your wraps, whether it's a black car, a red car, a green car, or an orange car. You should be doing them all into this, up to that edge right there at the very least.
So let's grab the knifeless tape. I'm going to grab the corner and fold it over underneath my finger, right where it meets the material. And then you just pull it, give it a quick pull, and it breaks the string from the tape. There's two pieces of tape. We remove them, and then we're going to smooth out the edge of film that's not down because we pulled that tape out of it. So we're just going to go over that. Alright, so I'm going to trim off a little bit of excess film I saw kicking around that area there. Obviously we want to clean it up. Just got a little bit there, so having a set of tweezers or something can help grab little bits like that. I think also my blade is dulling, so it's not making it easy to cut. But yeah, we just cleaned up that edge right there. Looks good. Have a run down the entire panel itself. Super clean, right guys? Looks good. That's how your wrap should look. I haven't tucked in a lot there. I've tucked in 1/8 of an inch. We've got about an inch running into the door jamb, and we have a nice straight line. So when the customer opens the door or you open your own door, everything looks pretty. So I'm just going to tuck into the roof section here and then cut that piece out. Not a whole lot to see in this section right here. So when we do the corners, we kind of just pull down and around the corner. We don't need a lot of film around this front part of the pillar where it meets the window because the weather stripping around the window comes really high up to the top of the pillar. So I think I only needed like 1/8 of an inch total to have full coverage. I think I probably left about 1/4 of an inch just to have something to tuck in. You don't want to leave too much because leaving too much is going to be too difficult to tuck in too much film because that gap will only run so deep once you pull up the weather stripping. So what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to push the film down to the top of the weather stripping. That way I know exactly where that line is, and then I'm going to cut and leave a little bit excess. So we're going to cut nice and round around that corner, and then leave about another 1/8 of an inch from the edge of that weather stripping. So I'm tucking in about 1/8 of an inch always. Obviously having a steady hand when it comes to cutting is very beneficial. So practicing this is going to be to your benefit. Practice on things that don't matter to you, not someone else's car, but if this is new to you, then practice on something else. But cutting will either speed things up or slow things down for you and can make all the difference in the world. So take your time when it comes to doing it because you don't want to ruin everything that you just wrapped, including someone's paint, if you mess up with your cut. Plus you could cut the weather stripping around the window, that kind of stuff. So you have to be super cautious to not cut stuff like that, because you don't want to have to replace the weather stripping around someone's window. It's not going to be very cost effective in making money for yourself. So I'm just working the film down right to the bottom corner. So I start at the top and work my way down. That's how I like to do it, because I have more access at the top, so it's easier to start it up there, as opposed to the bottom. I don't have as much access with the fender in the way. So I'm going to trim off that top piece right now. Here we go. And then I'm going to finish off the back window piece. It's the same as the front window piece, more or less. Usually the seals that go around the front and rear window are not too tight. So sometimes they are, sometimes they're not, and sometimes they run really high up right to the top of the pillar, and other times they are very low down, or not even, you can't even see them at all. Like some Mercedes and stuff like that, they have almost no weather stripping around their front and rear windows, and you have to kind of tuck the film down as far as you can. Now this becomes a problem when it comes to cutting, because you don't want to cut on the paint either. So what I usually do is I tuck the film down as far as I can, and then I cut on the glass side and then tuck the rest in. This is why it helps to mask off the front and rear windows, as you can see that I do here. It's just good practice to always mask off your opposing edge all the time. So I'm going to start tucking in here. So if you push the film down too far over top of the weather stripping, it's going to get stuck to the rubber, and that makes it difficult to get the film off of the rubber weather stripping without ruining the weather stripping or the film itself. So you have to be very careful. I went down a little bit too far this time, and it became a little bit more difficult, but we got it. Just be patient when it comes to stuff like this. So you can see that the actual laying of the film is the fast part of the job. It's all the little bits afterwards, the cutting and the trimming, the knifeless tape, the corners, all that kind of stuff. So the post heating, everything else. And so for here, I'm going to pop the rear bumper up a bit. There's a little clip in there. I just have it down right now because I explained that in the beginning of the video why I put it down. I'm going to pull it back up so I can get a little bit better access to the corner. That way I can do a really nice corner with that extra bit of film that I have right there. So I'm just going to pull that down and around the corner. I'm going to grab, I think I grabbed the heat gun, or maybe not, I don't remember. So just wait a second, grabbing something. Sorry guys, I think I am getting the heat gun. Yeah, and that one that's there on the floor is, it's not able to reach, so I had to grab an extension cord. So I'm grabbing an extension cord right now. Just be patient. I'm not going to fast forward this part because I'm doing the voiceover and I don't want to break it up too much. Alright, perfect. So I got the heat gun. So as I was saying, when I heat it up a little bit, and then just kind of pull it and stretch it around the corner slightly, giving me a nice smooth corner. Push down on it and around and make sure it's nice and round and not wrinkled up and bottle cap looking. Once we do that, then we can finish laying off the rest of the film on the edge. And we're going to come down just to the bottom weld, I guess you want to call it. And then I'm going to show you how to cut that. You can lay knifeless tape in this area. A lot of guys will do the rear quarter panel with the trunk closed. I like it open because it gives me access to that corner that we just did. So having access to that corner for me is more important, and I'd rather deal with cutting the film like this than not have a nice corner in the end. But like I said, you can lay knifeless tape on that edge and not worry about having an uneven line or cutting into the paint. So what I do here is I lift the film up to the edge and I run the back of the blade. It's a little trick I use. It just speeds things up for me. I'm a little bit more experienced when it comes to cutting and comfortable, so look at how I'm holding the film. My blade is not poking into anything. It's not scraping anything, it's not poking into anything. It's just the back of the blade against the panel. And I'm letting the blade do the work. I'm not pushing too hard, and I'm keeping the blade nice and flat. So as you can see, by keeping a little bit of tension on the film and keeping that line nice where I squeegee it up to, when I cut, I get a nice, even, straight line, and it looks perfect. So I'm going to zoom in and show you guys that. Except for that little bit right there, but look at the rest of it. It's beautiful, right? That's a freehand cut, guys. But it's all about how you do it. So just by adding tension to the film and using the panel as a guide, I can do a nice straight freehand cut like that. And even that little beginning part there it's not too choppy or rough, you know. So that was only like an inch. So we're just going to remove all the tape, and I think we're almost done, guys. There's the roof line, nice and straight. Just removing the tape there so I can show you guys the finished product, what that looks like. Beautiful. So not a terribly challenging car to wrap. But guys, just remember to not leave too much film around the edges and trim off and be fluent with the blade. It should be like a part of your body. Guys, if you like the video, you're gonna give it a thumbs up. If you guys want to see more of what's going on with this car, then hit the subscribe button. Thanks.